Hi friends, thanks for joining me for Junk Journal January. Before I get into the details, I want to say I'm sorry if I sound a little echoey or if I sound like I'm in a tunnel. I'm actually not at home while I'm editing this video, and there is a lot of noise around me. One of which is a gigantic, I don't know if it's a gigantic air conditioning unit or what, but at any rate, I just wanted to let you know that. So, back to Junk Journal January. The prompt for January 21st is experimental, and I'm using a paper here that I did do a lot of experimenting on. I experimented with watercolors, and then I experimented with stencils, which I don't use nearly enough, and I had such a good time creating this beautiful piece of paper. So I'm sorry I'm not experimenting on camera. My January has ended up being equally as busy as my holidays were, and so I am using something that I already experimented with, so that I can be part of Junk Journal January but not take an hour to have a play. So at any rate, I love it and I think it looks great in the journal, so I'm very happy to use it. I wanted to mention that Junk Journal January is hosted by Meg Journals, and she is in collaboration with Get Messy Art. It's an open collaboration, so if you want to join in, you can, but there's also, she's got a list of people that are participating with her, and you can check them out. She's got a playlist on her channel. I have her channel listed in my description box, and also her original video if you wanted to learn a little bit more about Junk Journal January. Now you can see I am adding a piece of lace onto this paper that I experimented on, and this is the same lace that I've been using throughout this journal, and I just love it. It was given to me in Happy Mail, I do believe, and it's just beautiful. I think this is going to end up tying in really nicely with the page that it's next to, because I have the same lace over on that page, and then also this beautiful velvet ribbon that I got at Joann's on clearance, and it's just such a beautiful rich red, and it's such a lovely texture. So I just thought it would look nice on the edge of this paper. When I printed the prompt list out, I'm not sure what I did, but I made it so that the last column didn't print out properly. So instead of gluing the prompt for the 21st onto the paper, I'm just going to go ahead and write the prompt onto the paper. This one is almost a wrap. I've got a picture of it for you. And stay tuned for day 22, and the prompt is old and new. I have got a really beautiful page from a calendar that I bought a year or two ago, and look at it. Oh, it's so pretty with the pink flowers and the pink bricks, and I just love it. So I'm going to go ahead and use it in this spread, and it is going to be my something new. I've got to cut it to size because I'm putting it on the back of this vintage bank statement. As I mentioned before, I'm doing this journal in order, and so that is the next page, is the back of that bank statement, and those statements are not very big. And guess what? Speaking of bank statements, the bank statement is from the 1980s. So that is my something old. And yes, believe it or not, 1980s means it is in fact vintage. Anything over 25 years old is considered vintage, and anything over 100 years old is considered antique. At least those are the Etsy standards, so that's what I go by. Well, the image on this calendar is gorgeous enough, but let's go ahead and bring it up to the next level, and let's use some of this beautiful lace that I have. This was given to me in Happy Mail as well. I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue gun to adhere this lace. I finally remembered to get my hot glue gun out and actually use it. I usually am just using tacky glue and Fabri-Tac and 3-in-1, but sometimes hot glue works really, really well for certain stuff, and it does work great for adding lace to paper. I also think I would like to add a pocket to this page. So once I get the lace put on, I'm going to go ahead and try a few different things on for size as far as a pocket goes and see if there's anything that I feel like works. I've got a really pretty vintage playing card, and it's got green and pink on it, but it covers too much, so we're not going to go with that. So I have this scrap of vellum, and I actually think I want to use the vellum. That way it doesn't cover anything up. We still see the old of the bank statement, which is also peeking out of the top, by the way, just above the lace. But that way we can still see it on the bottom as well. I did use a very thin strip of my tacky glue to adhere the vellum on, and I don't know if you guys know this, but in fact, vellum dries much slower than other papers, and it will tend to curl a little bit if it gets too wet. I'm just going to go ahead and put my clothespins on it, and that way I can continue working while it dries. While it's drying, I'm going to go ahead and use a pink pen, and I'm going to go ahead and write the prompt on here. I'd like to dress it up a little bit more, nothing too fancy, nothing distracting, and I definitely don't want to cover up too much of the vellum. So I'm just going to use a thin piece of trim that I have using hot glue gun, and I'm just going to place it right along the bottom, and I feel like that'll give it a nice finishing touch. Friends, I am loving how this page is turning out. Well, you guys know I love pink anyway, and so, I don't know what's better than pink and lace and vellum. It's a delicious combination. So I do love this. I've got a picture of it a little closer up for you coming up here in just a second. But I want to just tell you that I appreciate you coming and spending time with me. Thanks for watching. See you soon.